No, none of these really stand out. They all just seem very generic, and this new blue, I don't really like it, and just want to do something different, more, I don't know, grand. I've totally got it. Let's go. Oh. Okay, so the time has finally come to add Njal and Arjac to our army, but we're not just doing this in any kind of normal way. No, we're gonna bring them in like the gods that they are. We're gonna be elevating their bases, changing their poses, using OSL, resin prints, all of it, everything, just the works. Okay, so when you look up these models and you're trying to gather yourself some inspiration or whatever, everything is pretty much the same. They're all some variation of this new Space Wolves blue, or almost like an Ultramarines blue in some of the instances. And then they've all got Arjac just throwing the hammer. Nobody really likes the other pose that he has, which I don't either. It's kind of boring, but I wanted to do something different. So I kind of came up with this idea of what if he was like, you know, the hammer in the air calling lightning like Thor does. So Brian cut off that little nubbin right there in the arm area, and boom, now we've got an even more cool dynamic pose than everybody else. So for Njal, it's a little bit more difficult. He's not quite as easy to just change his pose up a little bit. So what we're going to do with him is we're just going to revamp his entire environment. Now, both of these models are going to get like an entire base overhaul. We're talking a big resin pour, ice splashes, big rocks that they're standing on, maybe some 3D prints, you know, just the works for the whole thing. But alas, I don't feel like I'm really painting this picture for you guys very well. So why don't we just get started?
For these guys, we wanted kind of bigger cliffside bases for a little more elevation. And for that, we're going to use our old pal Milliput and a little leftover plaster cast from our last project. Add a couple of 3D printed trees and limbs and put an impression in the Milliput for his foot, and we've got the foundation of our bases. I didn't actually record any of myself making these bases out of Milliput, but if you want to see the method that I used, you can check out our last project of Fulcrum here.
Okay, so we wanted to get away from that new Space Wolves blue that the box art shows and that everybody else is using, and call back to their original gray color. So I started off with this dark blue-green color. Now, yes, I know what you're gonna say. That's not gray, but it's going to give us this atmospheric kind of feeling of being in the dark, being at nighttime. It's gonna give us really interesting shadows, and it's really gonna work. So just watch. Next, I'm going to shoot warm gray through the airbrush at it, and this is going to serve as our base color for the gray. This is where we're going to start seeing the gray armor start to peek out a little bit. Now, we want to make sure we leave all of our dark bluish green in the shadows so that we can keep that atmosphere going for us and give us really interesting shadow colors. So now it's time to head back over to the painting table. We're going to take bright warm gray and ivory and really punch up these highlights. Now, remember, if you take your highlights a little bit too far like we did here and wind up looking a little bit more like non-metallic metal armor versus a gray armor, you can always come back like we're going to do and glaze in black over everything just to bring it back down a couple of notches and make it really look like gray armor rather than metallic. And now it's time for the cloaks. I really love to paint cloth, so here we go. We're gonna start with Basilisk Red and Dark Umber as our base. It's about a 50-50 mix, and we're just gonna put that all over everywhere. Next, we mix about 50% Dragon Red into the previous color to form our first highlight. This is going to go over about 70% of our previous layer, maybe up to 80%. Then we're going to mix about 50% more Dragon Red about 2 more times to form a couple more layers, each covering about 60 to 70% of the last layer, so that we get nice smooth transitions between all of them. And then lastly, we're going to take pure red and we're going to hit that on just the highest points and on the edges of the cloak. Next, we're going to take dark umber for the base color for all of our fur, and then mix in a little bit of warm flesh for all of our highlights. For all of our metallic bits, I like to layer my metallics. So I'll start with a darker metallic and then work into a brighter metallic so that we get a little bit more variation in the colors. I'm going to start with lead belcher on all of our silver pieces and move into shining silver for the highlights. Now we're just gonna slap the right colors on for the shoulders and move into my favorite part of this thing. We did the raven and it is so cool. I just love the way it turned out. So I started with blue-black mixed with a little bit of black for the base color on the raven. And then I started feathering in just a clean blue-black. Now we're gonna make sure when we feather in these other colors along with this blue-black that we're leaving that separation. We're not gonna glaze this down or make it smooth transitions. This is gonna look like real feathers as best we can on this scale. And we're just gonna keep using this same method, using a little bit of darkened purple and darkened pharaoh green for the different layers to kind of show those different shininess in the blues and purples and greens in regular raven feathers. And then lastly on the raven, we're just gonna hit him with some lead belcher on all of his metallic bits, paint his eye, and he's done. Then we're just gonna use the exact same process for all of the other feathers that are laced throughout the cape. Now we're just gonna paint the staff, and the big part I wanna point out here is that we're going in with a nice bright white in all of the runes, just so that we can make sure that we have a good foundation for them to glow later. Now we're gonna move into the skin and the hair. For the skin, we used dark flesh, shadow flesh, and tan flesh. And then for the hair, we used ochre brown and pale yellow to create the blonde. If you want to see more in-depth videos of how we did this, we'll link the videos down below, but let's move on to the next part. And now for the part we've been waiting for this whole entire time. I could just faint. I'm so excited. I'm just kidding. No, we're just gonna do a time lapse of all of our terrain painting. And if you're interested in an in-depth terrain painting video, we are going to be doing a tutorial put on our Patreon here in the next week or so. So keep your eyes out for that. Lastly, there is the lightning, OSL, and the resin pour, of which my parts I didn't record because, well, I don't know. There's the whole running joke of every single video I forget to record something, or the camera stops working, or the battery dies. Whatever the case may be, for some reason it didn't get recorded. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this party back over to Brian so that he could go over how he did the lightning and the terrain. Well, the resin. Whatever he's doing, you'll see.
For the final part of the base, there's going to be lightning striking a frozen pond below with splash effects and broken ice and things like that. For the pond, I'm going to pour 2-part epoxy resin. After that, we're going to use AK's resin ice for an icy layer on top. And I'll use broken up pieces of the ice resin for our ice chunks. And for the grand finale, I'll very crappily record myself using jewelry line to make the lightning bolts, and then secure those to the splashes into the models using UV resin.
And now, the time you've all really been waiting for, the grand reveal, the final result, the culmination of all of our hard work. Cue that epic music, let's go! Okay, as always, we want to thank you guys so much for being a part of our community and supporting us in whichever way you guys choose to support us. You guys mean the world to us, whether you get stuff off our Etsy, subscribe to us on Patreon, join us over on Discord, whatever you do, we appreciate you, and we just want you to know that it's fucking I forgot what I was saying, like mid-talk. Like I'm sweating in my armpits.
You're almost done.
Like the bulb just went boom. It's just... We just love you guys so much, and we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe bell so that you get notifications of any of our future content. Our Squarespace is also up and going. We're still working on putting some more things on there, but that is up for your pleasure, and you can see all of our previous work on there as well in our gallery. And we are still working on commissions. I am still in the middle of another commission right now. We might have some commission spots open here in the near future, but currently I am all booked up, which is freaking amazing. I am so excited. We are having a blast with this Emperor's Children build. It's just going so well. So keep your eyes open because those videos are coming really soon as well. But thank you guys so much. Have a great day, night, whatever time it is when you're watching this, and we'll see you next time.